It's 4 o'clock, the headlines live on 7 News. Breaking now, the AFL world in mourning following the shock death of Dennis Cometti. 4 American soldiers killed in a drone strike identified as Iran searches for a new leader. Plus how the conflict is going to affect us back home. Will petrol hit $3 a litre? F1 fever takes over Melbourne before glamour takes over the grid. The king and queen of radio call it quits. Kyle and Jackie O off the air after 27 years.
This is Melbourne's 4 p.m. news with Mike Amor.
Good afternoon. We're going to get to the situation in the Middle East in a moment, but first to the shock death of legendary commentator Dennis Cometti. Right now, tributes are pouring in from across the country. Cometti was one of the golden voices of Australian sports broadcasting. For more, let's go straight to Ryan Daniels live in Perth. And Ryan, he was known for some of footy's most famous lines.
Oh, Mike, he was an icon in every sense of the word. And for many, he provided the soundtrack to football's greatest moments. He was universally loved and respected. Today is a very sad day for the entire football community. His commentary so often was, as he put it, centimetre perfect. And the vision we're showing, you can almost hear the calls in your head as you watch them. And it wasn't just footy. In his 50-year career, he called cricket, basketball, just about every other sport, and some of our most memorable Olympic triumphs too. Susie O'Neill and Kieran Perkins, to just name two of those. His voice, his turn of phrase, his knowledge, unparalleled.
You know, he's a member of the Hall of Fame. He's a legend of the game in so many ways. And he brought, he played footy at a state league level. He coached at a state league level. But I think what he'll be best remembered for from a footy point of view is just the way that he brought our game to life through his commentary. And it's a really sad day for the AFL, for the Cometti family, and our condolences go out to them.
Dennis called his last game for Channel 7 back in the 2016 Grand Final alongside his great mate Bruce McAvaney, and we will hear from Bruce tonight at 6 o'clock. Dennis had battled illness for the last few years. He passed away aged 76. Mike?
Yeah, our condolences to his family, friends and his co-workers. Ryan, thank you. To the war in the Middle East now, and the identities of the first 4 American soldiers killed in the conflict have been revealed. The 3 men and 1 woman died in a drone strike on their base in Kuwait. This is a live look at Tel Aviv this afternoon. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son is emerging as the leading choice to be his successor. This as Israel launches a broad wave of strikes on Iran's infrastructure. Let's get the latest from Chief Reporter Chris Reason in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, Operation Epic Fury is now moving at a pace and in a direction that even has Donald Trump surprised. Overnight we saw more images of destruction across the Middle East, in particular this video showing the US Embassy in Dubai being targeted by an Iranian attack drone. People nearby running for cover as this thing hit into the front of the building. Minimal damage sustained there, but also a similar attack on a US Embassy in Jordan, with the State Department of America now issuing a blanket ruling for every American in this region to get out and get home, if they can. So difficult to do that given the aviation shutdown that's currently underway. European countries have now begun moving their military assets into this area. 2 Greek frigates now heading towards Cyprus, 2 French frigates, as well as their aircraft carrier group, the Charles de Gaulle, and also the Brits now moving a high-tech destroyer to Cyprus, as well as their jets, which were also seen today shooting down attack drones over Jordan. That as the US and Israeli-led assault on Iran proper now claims to have hit 1,700 targets. The Israelis also targeting the building which was housing today the assembly of experts, 88 clerics choosing the next supreme leader. That building was destroyed. The number of casualties there uncertain, with rumours now the leading contender is going to be the son of the former Ayatollah and supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei. Inside Iran, the Red Crescent organisation is now saying some 787 people have been killed on the ground. Iran is continuing its desperate fight back, sending its ballistic missiles and attack drones across the region. But also in Iran, the saddest of scenes as they buried the victims of a targeting tragedy. 168 teachers and students at a girls' school, most of the victims primary school age. Back to you.
The US president has justified the attack on Iran, saying he felt strongly they were going to strike first. Donald Trump also contradicted his Secretary of State, who said Israel was about to launch the first attack, so America joined in. Here's US correspondent Rob Scott in Washington.
Well, for the first time since ordering Operation Epic Fury, Donald Trump has taken questions from the media. During a meeting at the White House with the German Chancellor, the President says that the operation has, in his words, knocked out just about everything in Iran, including its Air Force, its Navy and its air detection systems. Donald Trump also denying that Israel forced his hand with the timing of the offensive.
We're having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. I didn't want that to happen. So, if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
Asked what his worst-case scenario would be at the end of this war, the Commander-in-Chief said having someone take over in Iran is just as bad as the previous Supreme Leader. He also revealed the United States does have a few candidates that it prefers, but he's not sure they're actually still alive after strikes on government buildings and meetings.
Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group, they may be dead also.
Frederick Merz says Germany is on the same page when it comes to getting rid of the previous regime, but he stressed part of his discussions with the president today would be about what's next for Iran.
The American army are doing the right things to bring this to an end and to have really a new government in place who is coming back to peace and freedom.
Iran continues to hit back, striking the US consulate in Dubai, a drone hitting a car park nearby and sparking a small fire. That as the US closed embassies in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Lebanon and Jordan, urging Americans in the region to get out and get out now.
9,000 Americans have been able to leave the region since the start of this war. We have about 1,500 Americans that are requesting assistance with departure.
And Donald Trump has also announced the United States Navy will, if necessary, start to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, he says, to ensure the free flow of energy to the world. 1/5 of global oil supplies transits through that critical shipping route, which has been severely impacted during this war.
And Victorian motorists are being warned to brace for petrol to soar to $3 a litre because of the war in the Middle East. It's already jumped above $2 across most of Melbourne, and drivers have been racing to fill up. Geordie Wright is tracking the developing situation across Melbourne. Geordie.
Karina, over the past 24 hours, prices at the Bowser jumped as much as 50 cents a litre across Melbourne, with most fuels sitting at $2.19. Some analysts are predicting it's going to get worse, climbing as high as $3, but experts are urging motorists not to panic buy. While they acknowledge prices are likely to gradually increase, they're not expecting an immediate spike. However, many of the motorists I spoke to today aren't willing to risk it.
The fuel is going up. I need to stock the fuels.
Well, less driving, I think. That's what most people are going to do, less driving. We were planning to go away, maybe just give it a miss for a bit.
So far, Australia's fuel imports from Singapore have not been impacted by the conflict in the Middle East, but with just 36 days worth of supply in reserve, there are concerns about shortages ahead. The ACCC will also be closely monitoring retailers in the coming weeks to ensure there's no one taking advantage of the situation through price gouging. For now, the best advice for drivers is to simply keep an eye on fuel tracking websites and hunt around for the best deal. Karina.
And since the airspace closed on Saturday, the first flight out of the Middle East bound for Australia is right now en route to Sydney. This is a look as it tracks over the Indian Ocean towards the WA coastline. It departed Dubai mid-morning our time. There were more than 400 people on board, no doubt incredibly relieved to be getting out of the region and heading home. Our aviation editor, Blake Johnson, is following the travel developments as loved ones reunite with each other across the globe, and he'll join us shortly. And the closure of the airspace has caused chaos for Formula One teams trying to get here to Melbourne. This is a live shot from our news chopper as freight for the event arrives at Avalon Airport. Staff have had to be put on charter flights via Africa so they could make it to Albert Park for the season opener this week. Grand Prix bosses say the conflict in the Middle East has not changed security plans for the F1 at Albert Park this week. Police will still be armed with semi-automatic rifles as they were at other major events across the city over summer.
We haven't changed our security footprint because of that, but it was very secure to begin with, so I've got full confidence in the planning. Patrons will see our critical incident response team carrying long-arm weapons as per the Boxing Day test and the recent Australian Open.
Organisers predict record crowds, tipping 500,000 people over the 4 days at Albert Park. Fans have been urged to allow extra time for bag checks as they enter the gates. And Formula One fan frenzy is taking over the city as the drivers arrive in town. Nick McCallum has spent the day between the different events.
GP fever has hit Melbourne hard. This afternoon at Port Melbourne Bunnings, Oster Priastri conducted a sausage sizzle to raise money for a children's cancer charity, My Room. If he's nervous about the weekend, he's certainly not showing it.
For me, I still approach racing as, kind of just a passion of mine and something that, I did just as something I loved growing up. Obviously, there's a bit more attention around it now.
Last night, he made his first public appearance, this GP, in the city. They had to block off Little Collins Street as 500 fans swabbed him.
Pretty special. It's nice to be back and nice to feel so much support, definitely. We'll see how we go. It's going to be a different year for everybody, I think, but I think we're in for an exciting weekend.
And this afternoon, also at the Emporium, 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton made an appearance. His fans were overwhelmed. Several had done this for their fathers.
I lost my dad 2 years ago. Formula One was something we've been watching for almost 20 years. So this is one of the last few things that I have that is still a connection to me and my dad. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to get this last thing done.
Unfortunately, my dad's not here at the moment. He's not well enough to come here for it. So I got this for him and I got this for my mum as well. So I'm just so excited. And go Ferrari, good luck. We're going to have a good year.
Organisers are confident they'll break another crowd record when the event starts tomorrow.
From F1 to fashion, and Melbourne's A-listers are set to shine at tonight's Glamour on the Grid. Our own A-lister Tyra Stowers is in the city. Tyra, some big names are getting prepped for the red carpet.
That's right, Mike. And they've been here today in the city. We've seen some sports stars, actors and models, and the man styling them all is Elliot Garneau here, stylist to the stars. Elliot, it's not all about the ladies. How have you been styling the blokes today?
No, we've got to make sure that the gents are just as comfortable, my love. So we're here at the Julius Marlowe Styling Suite, making sure that the men are well heeled, heading out to the track, not only for this evening, but of course for the entire of the Australian Grand Prix.
And they're going to be on track. There may be a bit of walking. We want to be comfy, don't we?
Exactly. My rules apply no matter male or female. Keep those shoes on. And with Julius Marlowe, I can guarantee they're definitely not coming off. But I don't want to see any men or any women taking those shoes off. They stay on or you stay at the track.
Good advice there, hot tip. And for the ladies, the theme this year is precious metals. What do you think we'll be able to see?
Well, I think you've nailed the brief. I'm just looking at you now. You've got precious metals all around your neck, your earrings. It's looking very glam. The best thing about a dress code is adhering like a little bit. Some people will go all out, but if that's something that you don't necessarily feel overly comfortable doing, it's always great to do with an earring or a brooch. The gents who came through the styling suite today had brooches on, some cool stuff on their shoes as well. So as little or as much as possible. It's the Grand Prix, babe. Go all out.
Well, speaking of glamour on the grid, I mean, it really is the time when fashion and sport collide. What do you think we can see for the night ahead?
Glamour on the grid always brings the boldest fashion looks on the Australian calendar. So I am always looking forward to seeing a more is more mentality. There is some very over-the-top looks, and ultimately, I'm a fashion diehard. So when I see people really pushing it, it makes me happy.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I will let you get back to work. You can see there's some guys getting ready in the back there, and I'll be on the track in the next few hours with all the best looks of the night. Mike?
Yeah, and you got Elliot's seal of approval. Well done, Tyra. Looking glamorous yourself. Meteorologist Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, when is the sunshine returning?
Oh, Mike, the cloud shrouded some parts for last night's blood moon, but it broke up enough to catch glimpses across Victoria. The Earth passed between the sun and the moon, creating the total lunar eclipse. Then the cloud swiftly returned for yet another grey day in the city. We have peaked at 21.6, and if you're after some sunshine, then tomorrow looks much nicer. I'll have those details a little later. Mike.
See you then. Thanks, Jane. A police chase across Melbourne's southeast has come to a wild end. See the moment. Officers swoop with eyes in the sky. That's next. Also, is this a kiss goodbye? Will Kyle or Jackie O return to the airwaves? Later, what you need to know about the work from home changes. And stay with us. Beck Maddern is live in Sydney for the AFL season launch. Live shot of Beirut. We're monitoring the situation in the Middle East and we'll have more soon. 5 accused crooks have been nabbed in an overnight operation across Melbourne's east. 2 of the 5 were tracked from Glen Waverley to Mount Waverley, ditching their allegedly stolen car and making a run for it. The pair, both aged 36 from Cranbourne, jumped a fence but were caught by police just seconds later. A 19-year-old man is in big trouble with the law after he was arrested and charged with a string of offences. Police say they found guns, a sword and cocaine at his Wyndham Vale home. He was remanded to appear at Wyndham's Magistrates Court. To the shock end of the Kyle and Jackie O show now, which dominates the ratings in Sydney but has struggled here in Melbourne. In the past 24 hours, it's been ordered off the air. Sam Payne has the fallout.
Good afternoon. Well, it's radio silence here at Kyle Sandilands' house today after the shock breakup of Australia's biggest breakfast radio partnership. Kiss FM parent company ARN Media releasing a statement that the 10-year $200 million contract has been ripped up. Jackie O. Henderson offered to work on an alternate show with the company, while Sandilands has 14 days to rectify his actions, which has been deemed as serious misconduct and has breached contract. After this stoush on air last week.
That's an attack, and
It's not an attack, it's an actual fact, babe. Okay. I'm so sorry.
I come in here and I do my job and I do it well.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that lately, no. Okay. I wouldn't agree.
Now, it's not the first time the pair have clashed on air, and many believed that this was another publicity stunt. We caught up with Kyle earlier in the week to see how the situation was going.
What do you think could be going on in her life if this?
I would not speculate as to what's going on. She may have just thought, I'm over it. I'm over him. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure.
We are yet to hear from either of them today. We'll have more details and updates this afternoon and tonight.
Torched again, a tobacco shop in Melbourne's north has been targeted by arsonists. Next in 7 News, a chilling twist as police hunt the suspects. Tragedy on the slopes in Japan, tributes for a little Australian girl killed on holiday. And there are still reasons to smile as we take you around the world with a look at some other news making headlines this Wednesday, the 4th of March. Developing now on 7 News, freight for the F1 has just landed at Avalon Airport. This is a live look from our news chopper. You can see some of the crates being unloaded despite the chaos across the world. Everything is set for Melbourne Park. We'll have more on the Grand Prix in the news at 6. Arsonists armed with a gun have poured fuel over a Glenroy tobacconist before setting the front counter on fire. As Jordan Quinn reports, the shop only changed hands days ago.
Good afternoon. Well, this shop in Glenroy has previously been a target in the ongoing tobacco turf wars, and overnight there has been another attack. Around 10 o'clock last night, 2 men walked through those doors armed with a gun and a jerry can while 2 workers were inside. They poured fuel all over the front counter before setting it on fire. The workers quickly extinguished the blaze and the offenders took off in a white sedan. That car was later found burning only a few minutes away.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's understood the tobacco shop had only been sold just a few days ago. 7 News has been told that new owner refused to pay a sum of money to one of these illegal tobacco gangs. The shop has been hit several times in the past couple of years.
So when I saw it, I said, oh, not again. Not again.
Forensics and the arson squad are combing through the shop, searching for any clues that may lead them to these two men as Victoria Police continue to hunt those responsible for these illegal tobacco turf wars.
A fourth Australian has died on the ski slopes of Japan. 8-year-old Gold Coast girl Chloe Jeffries was riding as a passenger on her mother's snowmobile near the ski resort town of Kububa and sustained critical injuries when the vehicle flipped over an embankment. She was airlifted to hospital but couldn't be saved. The war in the Middle East is dominating global headlines, but there's still plenty of other news. So let's go around the world in 80 seconds. First to an important legal ruling in the US with a father found guilty of murder after giving his son the gun used in a deadly school shooting. 4 people were killed and another 8 were injured in the attack. A jury ruled his decision to gift his son a semi-automatic weapon amounted to criminal negligence. To a tragic crash in Peru now, at least 11 people have been killed after a minivan plunged into a river moments after it collided with another vehicle. In Mexico, a drug cartel leader has been buried in a golden casket. His funeral procession included a band playing songs praising drug lords. If you've been sceptical of hot air balloons, this story in Texas isn't for you. Dramatic drone vision shows the moment emergency crews had to rescue people after the hot air balloon hit a phone tower. That played out 280 metres in the air. And how stunning does this look? Hundreds of lanterns drifted into the night sky over Taiwan for the Sky Lantern Festival. People wrote their wishes on them as they prayed for prosperity in the year ahead.
I wish for peace for everybody in the world. There's a lot going on, so a little bit of peace for every single person in the world would go a long way.
And that's your trip around the world in 80 seconds. And we'll have the latest on the Middle East crisis next here. Trump's blistering attack on America's closest ally. Also, we're tracking the Aussies who've made it out of the region. The latest on the travel chaos and making work from home work. The details on the Premier's grand plan. We're live and local. Stay with us on Melbourne's Afternoon. You're watching 7 News Melbourne. Mike Amor with you. These are the stories we're following this hour. Iran looks for a new leader as 4 American soldiers killed in a drone strike are identified. A war of words in Washington. Donald Trump justifies his decision to attack, plus how the conflict is affecting Victorians from petrol prices to groceries. Kyle and Jackie O go to ground after announcing their split as radio's golden couple off the airwaves for good. And legendary sports commentator Dennis Cometti, dead at 76. Israel and America have carried out a new wave of strikes on Iran, including a compound where clerics were meeting to choose a successor to the slain Ayatollah. His son is emerging as the leading choice. This as Iran continues to retaliate, firing missiles and drones across the Middle East. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has fired a blistering verbal attack on America's closest ally, the United Kingdom. He criticised Prime Minister Keir Starmer, saying he's no Winston Churchill. Our Europe correspondent Ben Downey has the fallout.
Well, the UK-US special relationship might be one of the latest casualties of the Iran war, with Britain's reluctance to allow the US to use its air bases for anything other than defensive purposes, and the US forbidding it from using the Diego Garcia air base in those initial round of strikes against Iran. Well, it's outraged Donald Trump, who in an Oval Office spray said he was very, very disappointed in the UK before making these extraordinary remarks.
By the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Britain has announced it's sending destroyer HMS Dragon along with several helicopters to Cyprus to defend the RAF Akrotiri base that's been the target of multiple Iranian drone strikes. But also take a look at this incredible vision. This is the first recorded air-to-air kill of a British F-35 against an Iranian drone above Jordan. Now, while the vision is remarkable, what's also astonishing is these short-range missiles can go for around 10 times the price of a typical Iranian drone. That illustrates just how expensive this war fighting can be. Now, in addition to that, Greece has sent multiple frigates as well as several jets to defend Cyprus. France as well has deployed its nuclear-powered Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier to the region too. But Spain hasn't committed any assets and is refusing access to the US to use its bases as well. And that has outraged Donald Trump too, saying he's looking at ways to cut off all trade with Spain. We'll finish on some good news. This is a shot of a Emirates flight coming from Dubai to Heathrow. The UAE saying now, when it's working with fellow Gulf partners, as many as 48 flights per hour can go in and out of the region. Some much needed good news for stranded Australian travellers.
Yeah, hundreds of those Aussies are homeward bound from the war zone in Dubai aboard the first Australian flight out. Blake Johnson has more.
An Emirates A380 will land at Sydney Airport around 10:30 tonight. On board, 404 lucky people. Out of Dubai, this is the first Australian flight from the Middle East since much of its airspace closed Saturday. Other flights have landed in Frankfurt and Madrid, where emotional reunions filled the arrivals hall. On the Australian flight are 8 Flight Centre employees.
People who've been there the longest will be the first on. So I think they've been there for probably a week now.
It's not a repatriation flight, but a solo and very lucky commercial one, organised after our Foreign Minister spoke to her counterpart in the United Arab Emirates.
I also want to announce today that we are deploying 6 crisis response teams into the region.
More than 9,700 flights in the Middle East have been cancelled this week. Thousands of Australians remain stranded. An exact number, hard to pinpoint.
Well, I heard a lot last night. The explosions were really loud. Yes, I've heard from the embassy and I've heard from Qatar Airways, but they still haven't got my luggage to me nor my medication.
The US is trying to secure military aircraft and charter flights for its citizens.
We are working on a number of contingency arrangements. The quickest way to get people at scale home is for there to be commercial flights returning.
A Formula One charter flight touched down in Melbourne overnight carrying teams but no fans, and that worries hotels who say many fans may miss the event entirely.
On Sunday night and on Monday night, we probably saw perhaps between 5 and 10% of no-shows, particularly at some of those hotels close to airports where we know that people may not have been able to get in.
It's believed more commercial flights to Australia are being planned out of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but that'll depend on the safety of the local airspace tomorrow.
Thanks, Blake. Jacinta Allen has unveiled the details of the work-from-home legislation she hopes will get her across the line in this November's election. But new polling shows the Premier falling behind Jess Wilson on major election issues. Here's state political reporter Rochelle Brown.
The Premier is promising her controversial work-from-home laws will take effect from September 1, setting the stage for an election battle on workers' rights. The legislation to enshrine the right to work from home for a minimum of 2 days a week will be put to Parliament in July. The government plans to amend the state's Equal Opportunity Act to do it. Workplaces with less than 15 employees won't have to abide by the laws until mid-2027.
The legislation is currently being drafted. We know that working from home works. We also know that it needs to be protected because there are too many people being denied these reasonable requests.
It's a policy Labor hopes will win at the election and it's votes that it desperately needs. The latest polling shows Jess Wilson remains well ahead of Jacinta Allen as Premier, 46 to 30. More worryingly for Labor, voters trust the coalition more to manage the major issues, including cost of living, housing affordability, the economy, tax and government spending.
Victorians think this state is headed in the wrong direction. They are looking for change and they are looking to the opposition to offer that vision for Victoria.
Despite the polling surge, the coalition is still yet to reach an election-winning position, still tied with Labor on a two-party preferred basis. The opposition leader today ruling out an alliance with One Nation for the first time.
Sports next with Maddern live from Sydney ahead of the AFL season launch. Also, the Magpies and Saints preparing to start their engines for a blockbuster Sunday clash. Plus, Ed Sheeran's surprise for our sickest kids. You're watching 7 News as we take a look across our beautiful city from the east to the west. James back soon with your weather. The Australian economy has grown at its fastest pace in nearly 3 years, but the government and economists are wary of the gathering storm from the Iran conflict. Let's go live to Josh Martin in Parliament House. Afternoon, Josh. The latest GDP figures have been released.
Afternoon, Mike. Yes, the growth measured in that final quarter of last year is the best we've seen since March 2023. GDP in the quarter was 0.8%, and in the 12 months to December, Australia's economy increased by 2.6%. The Australian Bureau of Statistics says domestic price growth was driven largely by construction. There's ongoing competition, not just for tradies, but materials like concrete. And consumers also spent big in the end-of-year sales. Plus, of course, we had the Ashes cricket series and Oasis concerts that also boosted the economy. Though the opposition is critical of the current level of federal government spending, Angus Taylor and his ministers visiting a supermarket in Canberra this morning. The Treasurer Jim Chalmers admits the Middle East war risks making inflation and living standards worse.
We are really well placed to deal with what's coming at us from around the world. The impacts are essentially uncertain, but we expect them to be substantial.
Public sector demand is more than double private sector demand in the December quarter. It's now abundantly clear that Australian standards of living are declining under this government. Pyro Jim keeps pouring debt petrol on the inflation fire.
And Josh, the Foreign Minister has given an update on how the government is assisting those stranded Australians in the Middle East.
Mike Penny Wong says 6 consular crisis response teams are being sent to the Middle East, and Emirates flight is also bringing 200 Australians back to Sydney from Dubai. And 7 News has also spoken to the sister of federal MP Colin Boyce, who escaped Jordan via a ferry through Egypt, and she's now in Turkey. We'll have more of that interview at 6 p.m. But her brother says the government needs to do more and to communicate better to people on the ground in the Middle East.
It's going to develop into a huge problem. There are some 100,000 people that are still trapped over there.
We know this is a very difficult time. We are conscious of how distressed many people are.
Mike Penny Wong is reminding people on the ground in the Middle East to register with DFAT and also to book commercial flights and to keep those bookings where people have them.
Josh Martin in Canberra. Josh, thank you. Beck Maddern is back with the Day Sport. Hello,
Excellent.
Beck. There's just one more sleep until the AFL season.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Mike. Well, you'll find me this afternoon and tonight in Sydney. We're at the Town Hall in Sydney, and this is where the AFL is having their official launch party tonight. Now, would you believe it? Guess what's back on the agenda just as the season is opening? Yep, that's right, the Twilight Night Grand Final. Now, the brand new chairman, Craig Drummond of the Commission, he had his first meeting today and he spoke on this very topic a short time ago.
The Commission will take a recommendation from management, from the executive, and then we'll have a sensible conversation, and as soon as we've got an announcement, we'll bring it to market as quickly as possible. We always need to listen to what our fans have to say, and it's the same with any business. If you don't listen to your customers, then you're kidding yourself.
You know, what we have done with the opening round now for the third year in a row is just a real focus on the game in New South Wales and Queensland to start the season. And pleasingly, what it hasn't done is take away from round one. And in fact, the last 2 round ones we've had, starting off with Carlton Richmond on the Thursday night, have been the 2 highest attended rounds in the history of the VFL-AFL.
And Chief Football reporter Mitch Cleary joins me now. Mitch, we've been waiting for this. One more sleep. We are ready to go.
Oh, it's like Christmas Eve, Beck, and we're expecting as many as 7 new Blues when the teams drop at 6:15 tonight. Headlined by former Swans Ollie Florence and Will Hayward, who have just returned to the SCG in the last hour for Carlton's final preparations. Jacob Wiedering also a lock to tackle ex-Blue Charlie Curnow, cleared to play after his broken ribs. At Collingwood, Nick Dacos completed a solo warm-up but did finish today's entire session after sitting out Sunday's practice match. He's been ticked off to face St Kilda on Sunday night. More than 80,000 expected at the MCG on Grand Prix evening. The Saints admit it's hard to avoid the hype for their off-season recruiting spree.
As a group, we're trying to just focus on the internal more so than the external, but it's hard when you're hearing murmurs of 80, 85,000. I think it's just super exciting for everyone, but from a players and coaching standpoint, we're just trying to focus on, playing and the game and Collingwood, because, it's going to be red hot.
Any experience you can get in front of big crowds always comes into play, whether it's later on in the season or, against a team that hasn't quite experienced that before. It definitely plays into your hands, and as well, we've got an experienced list too. We manage situations well, especially high pressure situations, so it's definitely a massive factor for us, yeah.
And the injury concerns continue to mount for your Cats, Beck, as revealed by 7 News last night. Captain Patrick Dangerfield is in growing doubt with a calf injury. Curiously, he wasn't on the injury list yesterday, despite carrying it for the last fortnight. Well, Damien Hardwick has taken aim at Chris Scott. We'll have that plus plenty more tonight at 6 o'clock.
OK, looking forward to it as always. Thank you so much to you, Mitch Cleary. Well, F1 driver Pierre Gasly says he wants to fight for the podium at this weekend's Grand Prix. The Team Alpine driver was at the MCG this afternoon getting a few tips from Aussie cricket stars Glenn Maxwell and Scott Boland. This year he is hoping to close the gap with the top teams led by McLaren.
I want to fight for podiums and, be able to have a car that allows me to be fighting up the front in Formula One. Whether I love it, I think it's still a question mark.
Now, practice for the Grand Prix around Albert Park begins on Friday. Now, just quickly before I go, Mike, I know you've done this extensively in the bulletin, but we're all very sad at the passing of Dennis Cometti today. As a broadcaster and someone who, loves live sport, condolences to his family and friends.
Yeah, absolute legend of the business and an incredible bloke as well. Beck, thank you, well said. Ed Sheeran has surprised some of Victoria's youngest patients with an impromptu performance at the Royal Children's Hospital.
Well, I don't deserve this, darling, you look perfect tonight.
Earlier, the global superstar also stopped by a charity in Brunswick. He's due to perform in Adelaide tomorrow. Meteorologist Jane Bunn is right now tracking the latest weather systems. Next, she'll explain what it means for the rest of your week. Don't miss her expert analysis. Good afternoon to our viewers in Melbourne's east. Whether you're watching on 7 or 7 Plus in the city or elsewhere around the state, it's great to have your company. Peter Mitchell joins me now. Mitch, what is the team working on for the news at 6?
Very good afternoon to you, Mike. Well, as we know, tributes are continuing to pour in for Dennis Cometti following today's shock news about his death. He's been a legend of sports broadcasting and also such a wonderful man. We've got a full tribute tonight. Also, we'll have the latest developments on the war in the Middle East. Our chief reporter, Chris Reason, is in Israel and will bring us a live report. Plus, we'll keep watching fuel prices so Victorians have the latest update on those as well. There's more pressure on the federal government to deliver life-saving radiation therapy for kids with cancer, with families still forced to travel overseas for treatment. And charity Blue Light Victoria, famous for its discos and of course helping troubled youths, well, it's facing an uncertain future, and Laura Turner will have those exclusive details. A big show ahead. Larry's next with The Chase, then the news at 6, Mike.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.
Jane Bunn returns now. Jane, how does it look tomorrow?
Well, Mike, we'll see a lot more sunshine tomorrow, letting temperatures rise. Today is grey. There were patches of drizzle under that low-lying steely sky. And as the day progressed, it lingered over the city. We have peaked at 21.6. The cloud is so low that it is cloud on ground in the Dandenongs, fog lingering well into the day. The drizzle is certainly noticeable, but the droplets are so small that it doesn't add up to much. 1 millimetre was the best we could do. The cloud stretched across the Melbourne area before starting to break up around Geelong and over the Mornington Peninsula, just like we saw yesterday. It is a very different day in southwestern Victoria as cruise ships visit Portland. All the cloud is over south central and southeastern parts of the state, with drizzle lasting into the afternoon in Gippsland. We've also had thunderstorms in the far east, mainly up on the ranges, delivering nearly 30 millimetres to Hunters Hill, that's east of Wodonga. Now that activity activity there is east of a trough line, where it's also slightly warmer. The low 30s in the northeast and the high 20s in the northwest. That trough will continue dipping down just into Victoria's northeast for the next few days. Otherwise, we have high pressure. It is a large belt of it here right across the southern parts of the country. We see the tip of a cold front from time to time. The next one is due on Friday, that one there. Meanwhile, there's not one but two tropical lows near our northern coastline. Current guidance suggests that both are likely to remain as a low rather than deepening into a cyclone. The eastern one may be crossing near Cairns during the day on Friday. The one near Broome over there is moving away, and there's also a third one that is up near Christmas Island. You can see it just under the date up through there. Around the nation tomorrow, showers developing in Brisbane. They're going to linger for the footy on both Friday and Saturday. Sydney tomorrow should be dry near the coast, but it's a humid game for opening round. It's lovely in Adelaide, sunny and 27. The heat continues in Perth. That'll even build further over the next couple of days. To Victoria, areas of fog and low cloud about the south, but it clears quickly by late morning in southwestern and south central parts and in the afternoon in East Gippsland. There is a risk of thunderstorms once again, only in the far northeast corner, just up in through here. Otherwise, it is sunny. In Melbourne, tomorrow's cloud, yes, we'll see it again, but it's all gone by 11 a.m. So it'll look worse and then it'll turn sunny and we'll have a great afternoon. That lets us rise to 26 as we're going to Friday. Lots of sunshine is likely. A bit of cloud comes in the morning once again and clears. And for Saturday, a bit more cloud before sunshine on Sunday. There's no real wet weather in our future. More at 6, Mike.
Perfect for the Grand Prix. Jane, thank you. And that's all from Melbourne's afternoon news. Thanks for joining us. For now, from the 7 News team, enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.